What's going on, guys? My name is Matt Freeman, and I like to talk a lot. And holy shit, I don't know what my computer's doing. It seems struggling really bad. So I hope the stream's actually working and not like fucking up. I mean, the internet actually says it's doing all right, but the thing keeps acting like it's kind of glitchy. So I don't know. Is it working? Is it not working? I don't know. Who knows? I won't know until somebody else gets on that will actually talk to me. But do you like it? Oh, baby, sexiness. I've had these shirts for a long time, but nobody wants one, so I just have to represent myself all the time. What an exciting day we have today. And that was very sarcastic. I cleaned my room. There's that excitingness. And But this is the first stream of the week because obviously I took Sunday off, as I naturally always do. So this is stream number 1 of the new week. And realistically, I just want to work on my DVD player. I've been waiting for this moment all damn day. Excuse me. Pardon my French. I just pretty much I have a Blu-ray player that has some issues, and I think it's fixable, but I don't really know. I need to take it apart to know if it's fixable. Now, if I take it apart and then break it and it doesn't work, not the end of the world, because fortunately I can just throw it away. It doesn't work, so if it doesn't continues not to work, then it's not a loss. But I would really like to have a Blu-ray player back, not particularly because I'm worried so much about the Blu-ray player itself, but mainly because the DVD player that I have runs on RGB, which is, like the red, green, blue, and then the red and the white for the audio. Old school HD, runs at like 720p, which, it's whatever. But obviously Blu-ray runs at 1080, true 1080. So it'd be so much nicer to actually be able to watch movies in full 1080p on my 1080p television instead of having to watch 720p on a 1080p television, because it's like watching a VHS tape. It's really shitty quality compared to what it could be. So I use my Xbox plugged into my television. It runs at 1080p, but unfortunately my Xbox disk drive broke like 2 years ago. So I can't put movies in it. I can't even put discs into it. It just doesn't work at all. So it's a little bit on the shitty side. What can you do, though? Now, I titled this "Making Friends and Working on Stuff," but sorry. I had this completely random number text me out of the blue, right? And they started with tap, tap, tap. That's all I got. So I texted them back and said, "What?" And they said, "What do you mean, what?" And I was like, I'm a bit lost. And they were like, "I am too. Why are you confused?" And I was like, "Because I don't know who this is." And they're like, "This is B." And I was like, okay, um, that doesn't help much. And they're like, now you're confusing me. And I was like, either you know who I am and you're messing with me, or you don't know who I am. Like, this is the wrong number. And then they realized they had the wrong number, and they were like, "Oh my god, my bad. I feel really embarrassed now." And I was like, "No, that's cool." And so we slightly chatted back and forth a little bit, and then um they now we've just been texting all night. It's a girl. Well, apparently it's a girl. I don't know. Could lie and be a dude, but it seems like it's a girl. Um, Obviously, we're not getting into like personal information and details, not being weird and creepy about it, but we're just generally chatting. As I explained to him, it's just pretty much like having a new day pen pal, because you'd have a pen pal where you'd write a letter to some random person and you'd send it to them and they'd write you back and you'd make some friendship with somebody you had no idea who they were. It's pretty much what it is. They're from my state. I do know that they're from the same state as me. They are from Ohio, but they live about an hour away from me. And we just been chat back and forth, just having a good old chat. Don't have to don't have to be weird and get all personal about it. Just to chat with somebody. We're both in lockdown because of Rona, so we're both just chit chatting and patty whacking, just like we do on here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, so I'm gonna have to try to talk on here to you guys and talk to this person at the same time. So bear with me if I'm just staring down at my phone for a second. I'm going to eventually tell them that I'm currently live streaming, so I can't really chit chat too much. But because you guys are my priority, but also a little sad that we're almost 10 minutes in and we have nobody here. I mean, technically, YouTube says I have somebody watching, but I'm assuming that's my creeper who watches me every single night and never says anything. So, thank you, I guess, to you, random person who never talks to me. I kind of appreciate you, but only about 50%. At 50% appreciate that you watch the video, and at 50% hate you for the fact that you never talk to me. Um, anywho. So Hello, Holly. How are you this evening? You like it? Huh? Huh? I literally have no shirt on under my sweatshirt because this is the shirt I had on, but I wanted to wear this shirt for the stream. But of course, Ohio has to be cold again. So I decided to take everything off and then put my sweatshirt on and then put the shirt on over top of my sweatshirt so that way people could actually see it. It just feels really weird to have only a sweatshirt on. Like that's what's touching my body. I've offered to give these shirts away to people for years, and nobody wants them. So I'm the only one that wears them. I own well, I owned I used to own 100 of them. Some of them my friends have taken off my hands for free, obviously, because I was trying to be nice and give people them for free if they wanted them and stuff. But obviously, no one wanted to buy them because I'm not famous or popular enough for people to physically want to buy my T-shirts. So I just had 100 of these laying around. Now I literally only have 2 of them left that are in the packaging. So I only have 2 left that are still like can be given away or whatever. So I've always kept them in the off chance that Random App blows up, and I can do like a giveaway, and I can give 2 of the original OG I Heart Matt Freeman Vlog shirts away. And it actually says my YouTube channel on the back. There. That's what the back says. This is my YouTube channel, as I believe it was. What's it? Does it say the same thing? No, yeah, it just says the same thing. It just says it has a heart. It has a big old heart, and it says my YouTube channel. Just And I used to wear when I was like landscaping and stuff. I'd wear these shirts like every single day, and wear them out in public and stuff. And the off chance somebody was like, "Who's Matt Freeman?" And then I'd be like, "Oh, check out the channel." And then they check the channel out and realize that they met me in person. Very few people it happened to, but I did used to do it. I had a strategy plan for that one time. Nowadays, not so much. I was actually thinking that if Rachel, I don't know if Rachel even knows I have shirts, but I was going to wonder if Rachel wanted a shirt. So that way, if she was ever in my videos with me, she could wear the shirt too. We could both be in I Heart Matt Freeman Vlog shirts, and it would just preemptively also rep even more. I had it because, I was vlogging all the time. So that's why it says I Heart Matt Freeman Vlogs. Izzy, stop crying. Stop it. She's driving me crazy today. It's another day where she's just being a big baby. But I almost kind of wish nowadays that I just live stream a lot and I don't really vlog that much. I kind of wish the vlogs weren't on there and it just said I Heart Matt Freeman. Just because most people would be like, the fuck is Matt Freeman? I'd be like, that's me. You also missed it. Apparently I ruined it already by not sharing my YouTube with this person, but some random number started texting me today. Definitely like an accidental random number, was not on purpose. Was a girl from Cleveland. And then we just got to talking because she was like, my bad, I'm super sorry, I'll delete you. And I was like, what the fuck? I thought we were building a friendship here. And then she laughed and she was like, I have no problem talking with you. I was like, I'm always down to meet new people. And so we just been texting all day. And the moment I told her I was doing YouTube and stuff, she was like, "Oh, you should share your channel with me." And then I get all self-conscious because, like, chit-chatting with somebody over the phone is one thing, but physically giving them a portal to the insight of my life where they can watch and learn everything about me, and I have no idea who they are. Now, I understand that's the whole point of YouTube, Whereas, like, same with you, Holly, besides the fact of the things that you shared with me, I have no idea who you are realistically as a person. But then you watch me, you learn about me, you listen to the things I say. So obviously you're constantly learning about who I am and what I'm a part of. I'm not saying like I'm a bad person, but I just find it strange. Like, I don't like meeting people for the first time ever and be like, oh, check me out on YouTube, and then find out that they don't like something that I like, or something like that, and then they're like, oh, this guy's weird or something. I'd rather just talk to a person. So I guess I almost fucked up by even mentioning that I was live streaming and everything. But so once I said I don't really want to share my YouTube with you right now because I don't really know you that much, they're like, isn't that kind of like defeating the purpose? And I was like, this is true, but I'd rather get to know you as a person prior to sharing you everything with my life, and then they haven't texted me back. So apparently I messed it up, but that's fine. They were somebody I don't even know anyway, so I'm not really that bent out of shape for the fact that they won't text me back. But you know what I'm saying? It's just a very randomness. It's just the randomness that is what we call Matt Freeman. So as I was explaining prior to you getting on, I got this Blu-ray player that stopped working on me, and makes me very sad because it's a fancy Blu-ray player that like allows you to connect to the internet and all the other stuff. And for some reason, like midway through watching a DVD or like watching something on Netflix and stuff like that, the video just cuts out. Like the sound is still there, but the video just cuts out. And so like the DVD player itself works. It's just that something's messed up with the connection of the video. And so I've had it sitting in my my room for a while, and while cleaning out my room today, I found it and was just like, man, I would love if that thing actually worked, because it was so awesome to actually have it when it worked. But like I said, it stopped working, so it kind of defeated the purpose of having it. So it's like, well, here's what we're gonna do. And then I literally sat in my garage in preparation for tonight and tonight's live stream. But I was like, I will take it apart during the live stream. I'll see if I can't see anything completely out of the ordinary. Like I said, it works to the point where you put the DVD in and you start watching and it comes up, it plays, everything works, everything's fine. It's just all of a sudden the screen cuts out and it's all staticky and you just can't see anything at all but static, but you can still hear everything that's going on in the movie you're watching. And sometimes it comes back and sometimes it doesn't. So the idea in my head is it's more than likely something screwed up with the HDMI port right here. And being as I do know a little bit, I'm not gonna make it sound like I'm some tech genius, but do know a little bit about technology. I felt like there may be a slight possibility that I might be able to actually figure out what's causing the issue and see if I can do something about possibly fixing it. And then I also figured as like, well, worst case scenario is if, I take this thing apart, I can't figure out what's wrong with it or break it in the process of trying to remove it or take it apart and stuff, then yeah, see, honestly, if my buddy wouldn't have given me this Blu-ray player, I would not have owned one either, because nowadays you can actually get them relatively cheap. You can buy the same style and Blu-ray player as this for like $50. And like I said, this one's actually really nice because it's got Wi-Fi built into the Blu-ray player, so you can actually hook it up to your internet, and it's got like the Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all that fancy stuff on it. This one, it was brand new, was like $130, but like I said, my buddy owned it for a couple years. He had this issue pop up, so he gave it to me. And every time I used it for seriously like 6 months straight and never once had a problem with it. And then out of nowhere, that the issue that he gave it to me, because he gave it to me to A, have, but B, he gave it to me and told me like, hey, this thing's broken. And I figured of all the people in this world that you probably would be the person who would be able to fix it. So he was like, I figure I'll just give it to you. If you fix it and get it working, then that's fine. And you can just have it then. So like I said, I used it for like 6 months and never once had a single problem with it. And then all of a sudden it started screwing up all the time, which then made me really sad because I was like, well, shit, I guess it is definitely broken. But like I said, worst case scenario is since I haven't been using it, and it's been unplugged sitting in my room for like say easily another 6 months or so. I'll just take it apart now, see if I can't figure out what's causing the issue and possibly fix it so that way I can have it. And then if for some reason it doesn't work and it's broken, then I just throw it away. It's no loss to me, It's just, if anything, it's just more or less taking up room now. It doesn't need to be taking up room. The only thing is obviously I've never taken one of these apart before. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I was going to say I only had 3 screws, but I didn't know. I was unsure how this thing came apart, but there you go. Popped right apart. Now we're to the inside. Yeah, well, see, you unfortunately see this is a problem with when you do like live streams and you try to set it up like a normal video because you end up having to explain everything like 8 times. But I already explained the reason that my Xbox, the hard drive or the disk drive for my Xbox broke about 2 years ago. So I can't put DVDs or video games in it. That's also another reason why I buy all my games online. One, it makes no sense to buy video games as a disc because it's just you go to a store, you buy a disc, you take it home, you put it in your Xbox, and then you have to download it before you can even play it. Or you can subtract all that bullshit and just buy it from the internet at home and download it instantaneously right from there and then play it and never need to have a disc. So I literally only own one disc for all of my Xbox games. I own 400, and I just recently counted them because of I was telling Mike and Rachel how many yeah, exactly. Right. You download it and then you never need the disc again. There's no point even having the disc. So that's why it's just pointless to even buy discs anymore. So I own 462 games for the Xbox One, and only one of them had the disc. Like the very first game I ever bought for the Xbox One, when I was in the store buying the Xbox, I bought the game, and every other game I've purchased online. So I've never used the disc drive. And then the one time I decided to put a DVD in there to like play a movie, it didn't work. And that's when I learned that my disc drive was broken. But being as like besides movies, I really don't need it. It's like I didn't really care about having to worry about trying to get it fixed or anything. Now we just have to try and figure out how this thing comes apart. Tell you what, it's cool when you have like a whole bunch of screwdrivers that have a whole bunch of different, like you got a small flathead, a big flathead, a small Phillips, a big Phillips. But man, it is so much better in life to buy you one of these things. I bought this for work, and so this is how it is. It's the handle, and then you got the rod that goes inside the handle, in which case it's got big flathead, little flathead, and then if you pull that out and twist it around, then you have big Phillips, and you pull this one out, and the bit stays down inside there because it's supposed to come out, and then you have little flathead, which actually this is a square bit. It's not even a flathead because I totally forgot that on top of that, if you pull out the individual sections and have them like this, then you can literally pull out these parts and you got 2. So this is what they call a 12-in-1 because it's got 12 different screwdriver heads inside of one. If you don't stop crying, I'm going to go insane. Stop it. My true nature is coming out with my dog constantly crying like a little bitch. God. She's driving me crazy. I have no idea what it is. And I literally only think she's crying because I'm sitting here talking and she's not out. It's literally all it comes down to. She's no. No, you not come out. No. No. Stop crying. Stop it. Lay down. Stop it. Stop crying. Stop it. Stop it. No, they are not coming out. You want water? Here, take your water. Is that why you was crying? No, you weren't crying because that, then you're not coming out. It's night-night time. It's not time for Puppy to be up. I end up just having to cover her up because it's just literally, it's just because I'm out here talking to the YouTube. Now she's got to get in there crying because she's not, why are you out there talking and I got lazy? Oh. Ah. I think isn't that what it's like having children? You just lock them in a cage when they cry all the time. Isn't that how that works? That was sarcastically a joke, obviously. Now, those clips came undone. But the problem is, something tells me that that's not how because here's the thing. This is how electronics work. And the more you work with electronics, the more you understand how electronics work. Things come to part in order. If you do not take them apart in order, they will break because they have a very specific order in which in which they have to be removed. So there's only one part left, which is this front section. And as you can tell, it's covering at the top. It's covering part of the interface. But while messing with it here, I kind of noticed that that's probably not the way it's supposed to come apart. The other thing I am noticing is I thought maybe, just slightly maybe, there might have been something on here that, the solder was coming loose on, or a plug was not connected correctly, and that's why it wasn't working. But now that I look at it, it actually looks like everything's plugged in. Nothing looks like the solder isn't holding or anything. So I'm gonna guess that there's probably 0% chance that I'm going to be able to fix this, because I don't know what to do. Like, I'm tech savvy in a sense. I have a general idea how to fix things, especially with computers. But when it comes to DVD players, and, well, hello, Dean. Nice to see you. It's nice to meet you too, Dean. Are you talking your Xbox 360? Or are you talking the original Xbox? Because, I also own both an Xbox and the Xbox 360. Actually, my 360 is sitting outside. Oh, here. This is my Xbox 360. Yes, it's very dirty. It's been sitting outside for a long time. And if it wasn't for the fact of my sister at one point decided to be a dumb, okay, and this is going to sound very mean, but she was a dumb cunt and put a password on my Wi-Fi, my Xbox 360 would still work, but the dumb way which way the 360 works is if you have an internet connection that's connected to that, all of a sudden, and it didn't have an internet, but all of a sudden, or didn't have an internet password, and now all of a sudden it has an internet password, it doesn't recognize that you have to put a password in because it's a 360 and it's very dumb, and then it just locks you out of your Xbox. So my Xbox 360 just stopped working one day, and I had no ability to use it anymore. And it is actually the reason why I went out and bought my Xbox One, because I was like, well, fuck this then. If I can't play an Xbox 360 anymore, I'm just going to buy an Xbox One. So if it wasn't for my sister, I wouldn't have had to gone out and pay fucking $500 for a brand new Xbox. I would have anyways, eventually. It was just, that connection feels awfully loose. So it's got a coaxial digital out, which is this little orange thing right here. But it's like, I've never seen what a digital out does. Like, I know what an HDMI is, obviously, but That's what I always used because it's a Blu-ray player, so it makes complete sense to be like, okay, well, yeah, it's the Blu-ray player. I gotta have Blu-ray, but I'm also wondering if maybe there was like updates for this thing that came out. And since I never had it connected to the internet, it never got updated because that could possibly be a reason why it was glitchy all the time. Well, let's see. Okay, I guess the other smart thing to do if you ever work on electronics is to always kind of either take a picture or use a Sharpie and kind of mark your wires as you disconnect them. So that way, if and when you go to plug them back in, you have a general idea of how they come together to be plugged back in. But with this thing, it's got these wire harnesses that kind of hold the wires in a very specific general area. So even if I unplug them and I don't mark them, there's only a specific place that they can actually be plugged into because of the wire harness being held in place. Damn, that's sketchy. How are like how old's your mom? Because obviously, I mean, she's obviously older than you are, but I'm assuming your mom's got to be up there because you're already in your 30s. I mean, obviously, she could have had you when she was young, but I'm still assuming even if she had you when she was 20, she'd be in her 50s. Exactly. So, um, which is obviously still scary. I mean, like, 50s still have just as much chance as like my parents. It's just strange how that works, Holly. You're older than I am, and your mom is younger than my mom is. My mom is 65 years old, and I'm only 29. So it's just strange how life works like that, like how you're older than me and your mom's younger than my mom, and my mom's older than your mom, but I'm younger than you are. Ugh. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. Oh, wait a minute. Sometimes these clips have pressure reliefs. Aha! Aha! Your boys learned a lot from taking computers apart. It's funny. I'll tell you the evolution of my computer experience, okay? I had a best friend lived right next door to me. Huge computer head to the point where literally he worked for a computer company. My mom and dad are actually both 65. They're like my mom is actually like 7 months older than my dad, but they're usually, they're at this moment they're both the same age. But yeah, so my neighbor next door, which was my best friend, he was 2 years older than me. He big computer guy, built computers constantly, gaming computers, built all kinds of computer related things. And he worked for a computer company in which he literally fixed computers all day. So, I mean, obviously, this is a person who was a huge computer person. When I met him, I knew nothing of computers. Like, I knew how to use one, but I could not even think about working on one. This guy was the type of guy who he'd explain something to you. So like you'd ask him like, how's a computer work? So he'd explain this is what this is, and this works together with this and does this and this. He'd explain to you, and he'd get done, and you'd just be like, what? And he'd be like, okay. And he'd re-explain it again, but he'd change the whole process of how he explained it to a completely different way. And he'd just keep doing that over and over again, no matter how many times that you failed to understand him. He would re-explain it to you to try to help you understand. Like he's very good at teaching people what things are things. And so he built me my first computer, which I mean, it wasn't nothing too fancy. It was I literally just wanted it to be able to watch movies, and so he built me my first computer, and it broke a couple times, and I'd take it over to his house, and he'd kind of explain to me like, this is what I'm doing to fix this, just in the off chance that one day I ever wanted to take a swing at it and whatnot. Then I wouldn't have to bring it over to him. I could just try to fix it myself. And So yeah, he literally taught me everything I know. And when he moved away, he moved to Las Vegas. And unfortunately, when he moved to Las Vegas, when after he had graduated high school, we were best friends for like 4 or 5 years. But when he moved away to Vegas, we lost contact with each other, and now we don't talk anymore, which really sucked. He really wants nothing to do with me because the last time he was in town, he was also a major pothead. He's actually the guy who started me on smoking weed. And the first time he came back to town, he brought his fiance with him because he had met this girl and fell in love with her and then got engaged to her and brought her into town. And he came over to my house to come see me, and I was still smoking and he wasn't. And I kind of like forcefully pushed him and his fiance to smoke with me because she had never smoked before. And I guess he hadn't told her that he used to be a pothead before they met. So they smoked with me, and ever since the day that they smoked with me and he left, he never talked to me again. So I guess it was something to do with the whole potheadness. She probably told him he wasn't allowed to talk to me anymore because I smoked weed and stuff like that, which is whatever, if that's really what's going to make somebody stop being my friend or whatever, even the person who started me on smoking weed, then I don't really care if he doesn't want to be my friend anymore. But so we stopped talking. But when he left to go to Vegas, obviously I had nobody to work on my PC anymore. And at this point, I was also, getting into getting laptops and starting to get more complicated computers. And so I just took it upon myself to start learning more and more and more about them. So I started taking them apart and doing a little bit of, thinking about what he would explain to me and thinking about, okay, there's only like 8 different things that make up a computer. I have no idea what they are, but as I took them apart and actually read them or looked them up online, you learn, okay, this is what this is, and that's what this does. Oh, this is what this is, and that's what this does. It's like, okay, and so things start to fall together. And this is obviously, this is me learning this when I was like 19, 20, somewhere around there. And now I'm 29, which even to say if I learned it from when I was 20. So now 9 years later, I can completely take a computer apart. I can completely put one together. I can identify problems instantaneously. Like I can figure out exactly what's causing the problem and fix it. I can get some people, friends of mine can buy all the computer parts and I can build them computers for them and just learn. Okay. And I love it. Absolutely love it. And then when you finally decide one day that like for instance, a DVD player I'm going to take apart here and kind of thing like this. Realistically, a DVD player is built of the exact same stuff that a computer is built out of, but it's just smaller. But it all runs on the same things because guess what? A DVD player or whatever else you're taking apart, TVs, VCRs, DVDs, radios, anything, they all run on a mini computer because it's all got to process its information somewhere, and the information's got to be processed through a computer. So once you learn the general idea of what computers are and what does what and how to do what with what, everything just falls together so easily. So like now, as I'm taking this motherboard apart and trying to take this motherboard out. And once I get this out, I'll be able to more show you in depth what I'm talking about. Whereas what's what inside of the computer, but or even though it's not a computer, it still runs on the same stuff that a computer runs on, kind of thing. I don't want to take the rubber feet off if there aren't screws under it, but I just tried to take this thing off and it wouldn't come up. It didn't seem like it wanted to come up, so it's kind of got me thinking there's a possibility because a lot of times companies do that. That's how they put warranties on stuff, like the void warranties if you take them apart and stuff. And you're always like, how are they going to figure out if I took it apart? And one of the easiest ways of them doing that is like they'll put screws underneath of the rubber feet on the bottom. And so that way, if you remove the rubber feet, then they know like, okay, well, this person obviously took this apart because the rubber feet are missing. Obviously, this thing is old enough and broken and being as I didn't really buy it, it's not really something I care about, like going out and trying to get warrantied. But there actually wasn't any feet on the bottom. I just got to figure out now. Like I said, usually it's a process, so you gotta kind of figure out what's got to come out to get what else out. And unfortunately, by the looks of it, I do indeed have to take this black cover off because now that I think about it, it might be very complex. It might be more complex than I think it is. So I think the way this works, obviously you can't really see what I'm doing because I'm doing it and you're just sitting there watching me kind of fiddle around in the background here. But so that's just to show you from what you can see here. So I'm trying to get this out, this motherboard here. And the only way it can come out, because this guy is attached to the motherboard and it's sticking out of this back side, is the motherboard needs to go that direction. But obviously, as you can see, there's this white piece of plastic. It covers up the motherboard that runs both the power and the buttons for the front, and like these top buttons here. So the only way to get to that, or to get this out, is if I remove this first. But the problem with this is covered up by this. And that's what I'm just saying earlier about, like, there's like an order of operations of things you have to remove. So obviously, if I want this out, I got to remove this. And if I want this out of the way, I got to remove this. Well, while looking at this, I'm trying to figure out how it's going to come apart, I noticed that obviously the front DVD window here is inside this plastic. Now, there's a slight possibility that I may be able to remove it without having to mess with the DVD player, but I'm also thinking I might have to loosen the DVD player off, and maybe the DVD player and this front plastic piece will come off as one solid piece, and that will make it so I can get everything else to then follow suit much easier. But I don't really know. I'm just totally guessing. Order of operations, just like a math problem. You got to do this before you can do this. And if you don't do this and in this order, then it's not going to solve the problem correctly. And I don't want to break it. You know, it doesn't work, but it still doesn't mean I want to just break this thing. So I got to be prepared to try to figure out what's holding this all together, so that way, if indeed I got to take the DVD player out to get this, oh, that popped out. Let's clip back on. So if we pop this clip off again, I might get this to actually come off without having to fight with the DVD player. Yeah, see, as I pull on this, that screen's coming off with it, which totally makes me feel like it's because the DVD player's got to be removed with the actual front plastic part, which is no big deal. It's just 2 screws. It was 2 clips on the side, and then these 2 small screws on this far right side that got to come out. And I've just been separating these screws as I take them apart, so that way I generally understand and know what screws go where, or, you know, kind of thing, like with if it works or if I think I can get it to work and put it back together. I know where and how it's supposed to go back together and what screws went to what. I'm thinking now, from the way it's setting, that this should just come right out now, and look at that. And it still seems attached by something, and obviously I don't want to break anything too much, so I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with this. But aha, and what do you know, it come right apart just like that. But it looks of it, I guess I could have probably gotten this to come off without removing it with the DVD player, but at the same time, ain't no big thing, ain't nothing but chicken wing. So I guess that realistically I got one of 2 options. Either the Blu-ray player itself stopped working, and that's why it's causing video issues, or it is the HDMI connection itself that's messed up, and that's why I'm getting video issues. Either way, either way, I'm probably not going to be able to fix it. But oh, so are you still there, Holly? I noticed we went from two people watching to only one, and obviously I can never tell if it's the creeper that's watching or if Holly is watching or who's watching. The only thing would be kind of nice if YouTube would do some form of updating to their YouTube player thing that would allow it to show me who's actually watching my stream at any given time. Just so that way, instead of just being like, hey, there's one person watching, it would actually physically say, hey, it's one person watching, and that one person is this person. I just feel like that would be much more in-depth and notifiably easier way of knowing who's watching your stuff. So if I were to be talking to Holly, which she has yet to say anything, so I'm assuming that Holly definitely left, but I'd be like, I could actually physically say something to Holly, knowing that she was still watching, whereas now I obviously have zero idea who's currently here watching. And so I obviously assume that must be the one person is my creeper, which I call you a creeper only because you just watch and you don't talk. That's the only reason you're a creeper. Not trying to be like physically rude to you or anything, but you are what you are in this world. Okay, so there's this weird plastic cover that I can't seem to get to budge. And I'm just trying to look. There's one screw holding this thing down. And then there's two screws holding this front section control buttons. And there's the cover. So the cover will enlighten me to what is being used. So apparently from the way these work, yeah. So these top buttons here for the DVD player itself, you press on the top of the buttons. And when you press the top, it pushes a piece of plastic that pushes in this direction. So the buttons themselves, instead of actually being on the top, are actually in the front. Got another video cable here that's connected so that way when you watch stuff on the USB connection, it actually still plays through the actual video connector itself. And that might be the only screw holding this entire platen down. I have no actual idea on that, but I do know I gotta remove this front part to get. See, that's what I was saying. That's the only thing that's really shitty about computer stuff. When you take things apart that's involved with electronics, is like it's all order of operations, but like there's always 1,000 fucking steps for one order, and so like I gotta take off this little indicator on the front here, and it runs the USB and the buttons. And once I remove this, you gotta also try to remember, so this held the motherboard screws and the main cover screws. And then these ones over here, so I guess I could move this one over here. I had two of them, right? Yeah, so one of these black screws doesn't belong, but I don't know what one it is, so I'm just gonna have to let it sit for now. And these screws over here got them separated. So the right side screws are the screws that held the actual cover on. These screws over here held the motherboard on. These screws to the left and the back left are what held the DVD player down, and the ones in the back right held the front thing I just took off on. By the looks of it, I think there's another little metal clip here that's got to, yeah, it's got to be bent away. And that thing slides down, then I shouldn't have to unplug it. I can just bend it out the way. And I'm doing all this work just to try to get this damn motherboard out, just so I could look and see if there's any form of physical connection that seems out of place. And it's such a bitch, like, because if I take it apart and realize, okay, there's nothing that looks out of ordinary, or nothing that looks like it's broken, then it's like, if I want to put it back together, it's gonna take me ages just to figure that out. Oh shit! Something just fell off. Something that I have no idea where it belongs. A little black strip of something. No idea what you are, black strip, but you're gone now, and since I didn't see where you belonged, I have no real idea where you go, and it will never go back now, and somehow that will be something important that stopped something from being somewhere, and it will never work right. But oh well, might have actually also been what was the problem. Maybe that thing that came off was actually something that came off and was actually supposed to be in somewhere or on something, and it came off. Now that's why it don't work. But now what I'm taking off, I believe to be the Wi-Fi connection. I have no idea about this, but generally looks pretty similar to what most Wi-Fi connectability things are. Made in the Philippines, says Mitsuma Electco Ltd. CCAJ11. And the brilliant part about electronics, though, is A, they come with either one of two things. Now, if you take it apart and you're looking at the part, you don't see anything that physically says, like, this is what this thing does. You got one of two ways you can go about this. One, you can use that, like, barcode thing right there. You just take a picture of that with one of those, whatever they're called, scanner things, and it will send you directly to the web page in which this is manufactured, and it will tell you what this is. Or number two, you just simply type in the model number of the part, and it will also then come up and say, this is what this is. So at least nowadays, everybody's got it all set up, so it's pretty easy to figure out what's what and how things work. A little plastic cover, tips up. Oh, I'm definitely seeing like some burn mark maybe. Can't be positive on that. Could just be some blue paint or a blue marker that got left somewhere. But yep, this whole thing right here pretty much just runs the power. So the best way of understanding what runs power is A, the power cord goes to it. So that's pretty self-explanatory to understand that the power cord's running what's going to be powering the system. Secondly, you got coils. So here's a coil here and here's a coil here. This one is a copper coil where you can physically see the copper cables. And this one is like a transformer setup where it's got like magnet sidewalls and wires that go around it. That's what actually converts this second one here is what converts it from AC, which is electrical cord power, to DC power. And these here, they're called solenoids, these things that look like batteries. And the reason they're called solenoids is because that's exactly what they are. They are generally batteries. They just hold different power. Relays are the little connectors in the bottoms that like jump from side to side. So you just will naturally learn things. As you take things apart and you look things up, you'll generally learn what things are and how they work and stuff like that. So everything in this world that's electronical or computer based that runs on a motherboard or any other type of board in that sense runs on DC, which is a battery power. So everything runs on cords because everything in our house runs on AC. So everything that runs a motherboard has to run on the opposite power in which it's actually being used with. So every single thing that you will take apart will always have this. It will always have a transformer that transforms the AC to DC power. Even computers do that. But they're a lot bigger because they put out a lot more power. But we have physically now taken this entire thing apart. The only thing left is the button in the front, which I'm not going to disconnect because it's just a wire and the metal frame. And now here's the motherboard, the solid motherboard, which has the processor, the memory, everything that it needs to run is all on this guy here. And if I obviously don't know for sure, but if there was going to be something wrong, it's going to be here that the problem would be. That I feel like the problem would be here if this is really the problem. So like I said, the easiest thing to do is just to take a general glance at it, kind of see if there's anything really looks out of place or maybe like a connection that came unsoldered. Unfortunately, I don't really have a solder gun that runs small enough to allow for these small of connectors. It would have had to have been like a wire that came unsoldered or something that I could resolder and fix. But for the fact of it works and then all of a sudden it stops midway and stops playing video, it's only going to come down to two things that could be causing the problem. One, it's either this motherboard has an issue, in which case as it maybe warms up or something, the HDMI stops displaying video and only displays audio, or this HDMI cable is actually working and realistically it might be the DVD player itself isn't working properly. It was manufactured in October of 2013. So realistically thinking about it, this DVD player right here is 7 years old already, and it's a Blu-ray player. That's like mind-blowing to think about because it's like really still standard technology nowadays, and yet it's still 7 years old. So there's a motor on the back here. This is the motor that operates the drive to pop the disc in and out, and it runs to this little motherboard here. This motherboard runs the power. Yeah, so I'm gonna guess, for not knowing, that this is probably the video cable or the video cable. So I don't know what this would be then. But this little one, I'm pretty sure runs the power because it runs to the little board here, and the board runs the motor. So obviously the board's going to need power, and the only cable running to this board is this cable, this little cable right here. So out of process of deduction, you can, it's not for certain, but you can pretty much figure out, okay, well, if this motor right here has got this black and red wire that runs the motor, then obviously this motherboard needs power naturally so it can power the motor. And since there's only one wire running to this motherboard, it just obviously means that this cable must be the cable that runs the power, which leaves this cable and this cable as something else. So I'm assuming that one of them has to be video, but I'm not sure what the other one is. The other thing is, as I smell my hands, I can actually smell the smell of burnt electronics on my hand, which is not good. That means that something burned up. And really, I don't smell it on this. It is strange smelling a motherboard, but like I said, something burnt up. Oh, I bet you I know what it, not burnt out, but I bet you I know what the smell came from. I bet you it's this AC to DC converter. Because they've done, I don't smell it here either, but I definitely have the smell of burnt wire on my hands. Does this thing have a thing on the bottom of it that tells me information? No, it says on the back. So let me read this real quick and see if it gives me anything importantly useful. Oh, caution, risk of electrical shock. Do not open. Obviously, they mean don't open it when you got it plugged in. I guess this stuff over here is pretty much what I'm looking for. Blu-ray disc / DVD player. AC in is 120 volts at 60 hertz or 9.95 watts. I guess that'd be at 9.95 watts still. Wait, what? Operation is subject to following two conditions. This device may cause harmful interference, and two, this device must accept any interference received, including interference that may cause undesired operations. So what does that mean? I feel like that was them pretty much saying, like, hey, guess what? This thing's going to break on you. Interesting. And I found the culprit. It is the buttons in the front. Well, I found the culprit of what smells like burnt plastic. Huh. So I wonder if it's this button connector that's caused the problem. Front looks fine. Back of it doesn't look like there's any burnt up on it either. But it's definitely this front section. This here, this is what that burnt wire smells coming from. So there could have been something that burned up on the front. Just thinking about it, I'm trying to remember now when I had problems with the video. I believe I was using the USB. I don't think I had a DVD in it. So I guess there's a slight possibility that the DVD and everything else works. No, because my buddy told me he was watching a DVD when it had problems. So I am a little uncertain 100% as to excuse me, what is causing the problem. I guess I could look it up on my phone. I mean, obviously, I hate like being on my phone and live streaming at the same time because, obviously, I'm supposed to be paying attention to the stream, what I'm doing with the stream. But to figure this out, I could possibly look up the model number, see if anybody else has had the issue too, see what they use to fix it. Because I mean, if it's something stupid like a software update or something like that, where it wouldn't take nothing but some real easy shit to fix, I mean, I'd rather go that route than take this whole thing apart and just throw it away. So we'll look up Sony because it's a Sony. And then we'll go BDP S13. Okay. We'll just put the dash because it's got a dash, and then go S3100. And then do video cuts out. Let's see what that comes up with, because I could put video cuts out and audio stays, which is what I originally was going to put, but there might be some information about this video cuts out that might just lead me more into the path of what I'm really looking for. There's no picture from a Blu-ray disc player, and the TV screen is completely black or flashes. Check if the picture is displayed on the TV screen after completing each step. The solution assumes the player is connected directly to the TV. However, if the player is connected to an audio or video receiver, the steps given below about the TV should also be followed for the receiver. Yeah, mine was connected straight to the TV. So let's see, solution. Make sure the TV is set to the correct video input to receive you will know shit. I guess they probably have to put that stuff because I'm sure there's enough dumb people out there that's like, I'm on HDMI, and they don't realize they're hooked up to like HDMI 3 or some bullshit. But if the issue still occurs, turn off the player and the TV and turn it back on. Check the cable between the player and the TV. Make sure it is securely connected to both products. Try the steps below for HDMI connection. Turn off the player and all the connection equipment. Disconnect the cable and then reconnect it. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, these are dumb, and I don't need these. I'm looking for more of like a legit way of fixing it. Yeah, unfortunately, I did not receive a remote control with it, which it should have had a remote control with it, but I did not receive them when I got it from my buddies. So if there was any, like this step says, using the controller to make sure that the video settings are set correctly for the television that you are using, but I can't do that being as I don't have a controller for it. Don't need any of those. Wow, really? If the issue still occurs after following the steps above, repair may be required. Okay. Well, thank you, article. I never would have guessed that. Now I went to repair. Now I'm at usesupportsony.com. Due to coronavirus events impacting our call center staff availability, phone support is currently not available. We hope to have phone support available in the coming weeks. We apologize for the inconvenience and encourage you to make use of our many online resources to help with questions. I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm supposed to take this damn thing apart. Or, I mean, rephrase that because I already took it apart. How I'm supposed to fix it. Obviously being as purchased. Yeah, let's see. It definitely is not under warranty because it is a 2013. Television cameras, computers. None of this is what I was looking for. So let's just go to frequently asked questions and see if there's anything about that. So here's the thing: we're just currently under Sony. We're not even under Sony Blu-ray players. So like, yeah, it's just like, oh, do you need warranty coverage on your PC? It's like I don't want PC bullshit. I was looking up a DVD player. I ain't need no computer fixed. No sound with Sony Blu-ray player. So apparently the sound is a lot of problems for people, but yet I have perfectly good sound. I just have no fucking video. And realistically, I have video, it just cuts in and out. So it's not even that it cuts in and out, it cuts out. Sometimes it never comes back, and sometimes it does come back. So, well, actually, I just found Sony's manual for the DVD player. Let's see. No, fuck off. Uh, hmm. See, it's like system, software, and firmware. Get answers to common questions about updates. See, mine's never been connected to the internet because I didn't have the remote that allowed me to connect the DVD player to the internet. So now I'm also kind of wondering if maybe it was like a glitch in the system and that it needed the internet to update the system so that that way it wouldn't cut the video out, which would have definitely helped. Now I've got to download the PDF file on my phone, which just takes up more space. But hey, look, it is the instruction manual for my DVD player. To reduce the risk of fire or electronical shock, do not expose this apparatus to rain or moisture. Oh, what? You mean I can't watch DVDs in the rain? Man, Sony, really killing my spirit. To avoid electrical shock, do not open the cabinet. Well, I already opened it, so too bad. The AC power cord must be changed only at a qualified service shop. That's bullshit because who the fuck's going to pay somebody to replace a cord? I can replace a cord. Batteries or batteries installed apparatuses shall not be exposed to excessive heat such as sunshine, fire, or the like. Damn, Sony's just shitting on my parade. I can't watch DVDs in the rain, and I can't throw my battery operated Sony devices in fire. What is up with you, Sony? How am I supposed to have fun in this life? Uh, all right, we don't need any of this. This is just stupid statements and precautions and stuff like that. Um, doesn't have like a table of contents that told me what page to go to. I don't want to scroll through every page just to figure out where I'm going. Get started, playback, internet setting and adjustments, and additional information. Oh, great. So I guess I am gonna scroll through and figure out what the fuck I gotta read. FCC radiation exposure statement. Oh, this DVD player is giving off Rona since everybody in this world's retarded and thinks that somehow 5G towers are giving people Rona. You got to be the dumbest person in the world if you believe that. If you're watching my video and you're an avid viewer and you like watching my channel, I'm sorry, but I despise of people like you. Only if you believe that the 5G towers are what's giving out Rona, because that's retarded and it's not true at all. Let's see, on power sources, on adjusting volume, on cleaning disk and disk blends, on replacing of parts. In the event of the player is required parts may be collected for reuse or recycling purposes. On connecting to the HDMI jack, I don't really need to be figuring out how to plug something in. Copy protection, copyright trademarks, whatever a grace note is, some more grace notes. Ah, now we're to the contents page. You just have to scroll through 8 pages of the manual before you even get to the contents. Page number 2, warning. Page number 4, precautions. Page 10, guide to parts and controls. Step 1, supply accessories. Step 2, connecting the player, preparing the network connection and easy setup. Playback is playing a disc, playing from a USB device, playing via network, available options. 24 is internet browsing websites. Now our settings and adjustments, using the settings display, network updates, screen settings, audio settings, Blu-ray and DVD viewing settings, parental control settings, system settings, network settings, easy network settings, resetting. 32 is troubleshooting, and 36 is specifications. So I guess we'll go to 32 first, because realistically, I need troubleshooting. So that's page 32, 30, 31, 32. There is no picture, or the picture is not output correctly. Check that all connecting cables are securely connected. Switch the input selector on your TV to display the signal from the player. Reset the output video resolution to lowest resolution by pressing on the player by pressing stop on the player for more than 10 seconds. No, I probably should have not taken this apart, and I should have just used this, because now I have this thing completely taken apart, and now I'm learning that there are things I could have done to actually reset the video settings, and that is almost a bit of a kick in the balls, because you can't test the video settings on a DVD player that you've taken apart. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to put it back together. Same steps we did to take it apart, just got to put it all back together now. Because like I said, realistically, it looks perfectly fine. Nothing looks out of place like that of anything that I could like solder and fix to get it to actually work the way it's supposed to. So I'm just going to make the assumption that it is working the way it's supposed to, and that the only way to get it to actually truly work is possibly by doing some form of firmware adjustment and or resetting the video settings, since I didn't have the remote to do so, which like I said, fortunately, it's a little baby DVD player, and even though it took me a little bit of time to take the whole thing apart, it should really not take super long to put it all back together. Just hope and pray we put it together right, because obviously, if we don't put it together the way it's supposed to, it's not going to work. But we got the control hooked back up. All right, the Wi-Fi connector's got to be put in next. Actually, I'm doing this ahead of myself because I should realistically put the power back in. Well, that's interesting. How did that work? This goes here, I think. I believe it did. There's a lot of wire that I have no idea where it was at. Must have been in here somehow. Unless that's not where that went. Oh wait, no, I don't think it went there. Oh, poopy! I already lost how this goes together. Let's see, okay, so if this goes here like this, just naturally lining this up the way it's supposed to go in here. Oh, right, okay, yeah, no, we're good. We're good. I'm just kind of slightly confused myself is all. So quickly hook this wire back up while I have the board separated. Set this down in there like that. Make sure that both of these connections are nice and snug. And get this all back the way it was supposed to be. This runs back here like this, and then this slides down through here like this. Apologize, you can't actually see what I'm doing, but I'm sure the majority of you don't really care what I'm doing, just in the general sense of just putting it back together. Which also then requires me understanding what the fudge I did to take it apart. And I don't truly remember because unfortunately there are different size screws. So that means that some screws were meant for some things and some screws were meant for other things, and I didn't separate them that much into detail. So we're realistically just going to put a screw where the screw needs to go. And if for some reason I put it together and then find out I needed a longer screw for something else, I'll just have to fucking suck it up and take it all back apart to put it back together using the right screws. Now, fortunately, most of these screws are open and exposed, I mean, to the point where if I did screw it up and needed to change out a screw, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I could still get to most of the screws without having to worry too much about having messed up the order of operations here. So that screw goes there, and I know this one went back here somewhere. Oh, right there. So this guy sits down like this, right? Yes, because that cable goes this way. And might have been something I should have left open. So we'll open this case back up, and then we'll slide this wire through because I cannot get it to go in place where it needs to go if I can't get this to slide inside of there like that. Now I can close this plastic case, put this wire and plug it back into the thing that it needs to be plugged into. The other unfortunate thing is I do not have any extra HDMI cables. I might be able to run inside my house and see if I've got one. Probably won't be doing it on stream kind of thing. I mean, it's already getting to the point where it's 11:30, and I do have an HDMI TV out here, but we will see what we can get done with what we got. So I see there's a little metal clip here. think by the way it looks, this needs to go forward and down just like that. Yeah, baby, just like that. When I move, you move. Just like that. When I move, you move. Just like that. When I move, you move. Yeah, baby, just like that. Yeah, hell yeah. Hey, DJ, bring that back. Let me touch it. Let me feel it. Let me grab it. Oh, fat rabbit. It's actually really cool because there's a song, and if you don't like rap, I'm sure you've never heard it before in your life, but there's a song by Ludacris called Fat Rabbit. Okay, it's called PHAT Rabbit. Okay, Fat Rabbit. It's really really good song. If you've never heard it before, I'd suggest looking it up. If you enjoy rap music and or you enjoy Ludacris, but there's actually a store on the way down south. I think the last time I went there 2 years, or last time we went down south 2 years ago, the store had closed down, which was a bit of a shame. But there was a store actually called Fat Rabbit on the way down south, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world when I saw it for the first time. And I sang the song when I saw the sign for the store because I was like, dude, Fat Rabbit. Oh, so apparently there were two screws holding this front piece down, which is only slightly confusing, being as I thought there was only one. And secondly, here, definitely looks like this piece goes in here, but did I, let me unhook this little metal clip here and reattach this metal clip so now it won't work with me the way I need it to, but let's see if I can get this to, oh, there you go. That's what we were looking for. Let me touch it. Let me feel it. Let me grab it. Uh-oh, fat rabbit. Now this one doesn't go on. Oh, there it goes. And that clip goes there, and it holds it just in place. So it's almost more surprising that there were two screws holding this thing down, because it's more like, why are there two screws holding this down? Okay, let me think about this, because I'm already doing the thing that I do quite often in this world, whereas I take things apart. When I go to put them back together, I somehow end up with more screws than what there are needed. So the way this is set up, this would require two screws. I've got two screws here, but then over here, almost funny, I feel like reversing the video or pulling up the stream on my phone, because I know I got the DVD player that's got to go next. It required two screws. Oh, and that would be those two screws. So these two screws over here. Okay, no, I'm on the right track. Cool. Okay, never mind. I confused myself by thinking that I had more screws than I needed, but there's two screws on the front of this piece here. After I put both of these in, then the next two screws hold the DVD player in place. And then there's four screws, which those next four screws, technically there's four there, but the next four screws hold the green motherboard in place. And then all that's left is the black wire, or the black screws that hold the case of the DVD player together. So as long as I hook all the wires back up correctly, this should be 100% the way it was. And I shouldn't have to worry too much about having messed anything up in the process. Just kind of generally checking to make sure the screws aren't touching anything that they shouldn't be. All right. So next we got the DVD player, which is over here. It's got all kinds of little wires come off of it. probably, just as a general sense of knowledge about how things go together, probably be easier to remove or to put the wires back on, reconnect the wires before attaching the actual screws down. So that way, if for some reason I can't get a wire to go where it's supposed to, because unfortunately, even though it's pretty much self-explanatory what goes where, sometimes, like this wire I'm currently dealing with at the moment, is being a real pain in the butt. And so instead of having the DVD player stuck down, not being able to move around to make adjustments as I need to, it'd be stuck in place, and then I'd be fighting the wire and just praying that I can get it to go the way it's supposed to go. It's really not going that way at all at the moment, so I might not even be able to get this to go back together. That's why I hate these little bandy wires. They make such a pain in the butt. Now, fortunately, these two, that one went in. Wiggle it down a little bit more if I can. Ow. There's like a black line. Oops. I don't know if you can see that or if you'll be able to see that. Yeah, you can. So these blue stripped ends here, they got that black line. That black line is an indication of how far down the wire has to go into the connector for it to be considered fully seated. And this one seemed to have gone down pretty far, but now it's not going the rest of the way. And the more I wiggle it and move it, it's just cutting my fingers more than it's actually going down. So I'm almost wondering if that is to the distance it's supposed to be. And it's just not going to make it all the way down. We'll have to see more in depth here when we put this other little wire in its little connector and see if it seems to want to go all the way to that black line. Because that's really why the black line's there. It's supposed to be, yes, that black, yeah, no, I'd say it's probably good. This black line's a little bit closer to the connector than this back one is, but they're both close enough where I'm pretty sure that it's going to work regardless. So the only issue is I can't get this other wire in, and I can't get my fingers down in here because it's like a little stupid connector. Oh, shit. A wire was hanging in front of the heater, and I could smell something heating up, and I'm like, what is that smell? Didn't know really what it was. It didn't smell bad, but it smelled like something was cooking. And what do you know? There's a wire hanging right in front of a heater. Oh, I got going that side. Now if I could get over here and get this side to lift up a little bit, and maybe I can slide this down in there. I might have actually just got it to go in. Now I'm just gonna, as much as I don't want to ruin the progress I made, I'm going to slightly tug on said wire just to ensure that it is indeed seated to that connector, because like I said, it would suck if I put this back together to find out that now it doesn't work because I didn't put something together right and messed it up worse than what it was when I started. Well, the looks of everything's looking pretty good. There's only this side here seems like it's struggling a little bit to go backwards, but yeah, it is. It definitely is. What's causing your major malfunction over here, bud? Bud? What seems to be the issue, bud? Well, I'll put these two screws in that hold the actual. Oh, it's okay, Holly. You just missed me take the entire thing apart, and after get it apart, get on my phone, look up the manual for it, then find out that, oh wait, just because you don't have the remote doesn't mean anything. You can just press these specific buttons to get the system to reset, and maybe that might fix your issue. And since I didn't do that prior to taking this thing apart, now I'm putting it all back together so I can maybe see if I can push some buttons and get it to work the right way that way. So now that's where we're at. We're putting them back together. What excitingness. Learning how to take a DVD apart and putting it back together with Matt Freeman. That's what the name of the stream should have been. Should have been, 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 should have been. All right, this thing's seated enough where I'm not too worried about it. I got all the wires connected. There are no more wire connections to worry about. And I've got everything else together, which means it comes down to simply putting the four. Oh no, Holly, it's called a learning experience. You gotta make mistakes in life to learn. You know what I'm saying? Should I have looked up the owner's manual for the DVD prior to taking it apart? Yes, I should have done that. Since I got this secondhand, it didn't come with a manual, so I never really thought like, oh, maybe I should look up and see if there's a manual, and then find out that there's actually things that could possibly help me before taking the thing apart. So that was my mistake. Obviously, I've learned, and now hopefully I've taught other people out there that if you're going to do something like this, that's smarter to just spend the time and looking up the information you need to look up prior to removing of the entire DVD player. Secondly, it realistically only consists, just like a computer, of a couple parts. So as long, if I would have taken this apart and set it off to the side and then tried to put it all back together like 5 days later, probably wouldn't have figured out how it goes back together. Pretty simple, and maybe I could have still done it and been all right, but for the most part, it's like, um, it's pretty average, but at the same time, I'm still got the mindset that if I would have set it aside, I probably wouldn't have figured it out as easy. But since I literally just took it apart literally less than an hour ago, I've already got the entire thing put back together. Now all I got to do is put the cover back on. So we good. We out here. We good. And I was thinking I might actually just leave this front cover off. Because all this front cover does is have the buttons on the top, and realistically the buttons are all labeled on the front: power, stop, play, and this last one isn't labeled. So what is that? Oh, and eject. Okay, so that, I guess that's pretty standard, obvious in the sense of like, if you got power, stop, and play, then you obviously know that this last one's got to be open to open the tray. So I might put this back on if I actually get it working, just so that way I don't have exposed motherboard that could get touched by a piece of metal and fry it or something like that. But not knowing if this thing truly is ever going to work all the way or not, it's just as easy to leave it apart in the off chance that I do inevitably have to take it back apart again, or want to attempt to take it back apart again. Plus, it should help with venting. Not that I really think this thing was overheating any, but should help with keeping everything nice and cool if it's missing the front plastic piece. Because now when I put this cover on, obviously I got to put the screws on, but it will be the front of it will be exposed, which will allow for better ventilation, because unfortunately, since it's just a DVD player, it has no actual fan on the inside, and I'm sure this thing gets pretty warm while running, and now it actually has some form of ventilation to vent its air instead of just having a solid cover holding all the heat inside of it. So put these last 3 screws in. There's 1. like I said, unfortunately, there's 4 of these screws, and I guess they all are generally the same. But one of them's got to be used for something else, and I didn't pay attention when I took them out, so I'm not probably going to put the exact same screw in this one section that is the same screw that came out of it. But like I said, it looks the same as the rest of the other 4 black screws, so I don't really think that it's going to matter too much what screws actually put back into it or not. We'll see in a second when I put this last frame screw in, and then we go to put this next screw in. If it fights me, it seems like it doesn't want to go in, then we know we probably didn't put the right screw in, which, like I said, at this point it's already connected and in place enough where I'm not really that worried about replacing one screw. I just leave it out if it doesn't work. But let's see how this guy wants to thread down in here. It threads just fine, so I think this screw is either the right one or it works all the same. Boom. And what do you know? It took us, say, 30 minutes to take the bitch apart, and it only took me about literally probably 15 minutes to put it all back together. It's definitely still floppy, but it's going to be floppy in the front because it doesn't have that front plastic piece. It doesn't have this piece on there, and this piece would be holding it from being less floppy. On top of that, I do not currently have any form of lock that I could hold this metal up from, so I'm going to use the smoker's best friend, and I'm going to stick a cigarette butt in the top to make sure that holds the top piece of metal from touching anything important inside, which actually kind of doing that kind of pins the sides up so it stays together a little better. But now from where we're at, I should be perfectly fine to test this bitch out. But like I said, I don't have an HDMI cable outside, so I can't test it without having an HDMI cable. And I do technically have an HDMI cable set right over here somewhere. But when I got it outside, I realized it was an HDMI cable that I broke a few years ago. And I did my best to fix it. I have no idea where it went. Oh, here it is. So it's this end here. This was broken. You can tell it's got a bit of a lean to it. This whole end piece here broke off, and so I put it back together and glued it. That's where you can see there's like it looks like some fresh paint. It's just some really glossy glue. Glued it back together, but unfortunately it's got a significant lean to it, and it doesn't work. When I plugged it back in, and when I plugged it in to see if it worked, it didn't work. So I have no HDMI cable outside currently to test the DVD player. I'm sure if I plug it in and just turned it on, it would come on, but I won't see if there's any video, which would suck in the sense of I won't have any way of testing to know if the video works. On top of that, it'd be really nice to have the remote for it, because even if, say, it doesn't work perfectly, I could still possibly get it to work maybe through the internet or something. Like, I don't know. Maybe even just taking it apart and putting it back together fixed it enough. Who knows? Electronics are weird sometimes. Sometimes things get wiggled out of place, and just with a little bit of extra attention, they end up working again. So who knows? What I do know, though, is it is currently 15 minutes till 12. I have been streaming for an hour and 44 minutes. So I'm going to smoke the last cigarette of the night. Well, last cigarette for the night on live stream, because there's no way in hell I'm going to bed already. And then we'll probably end it there. I'm kind of sore, like I did a lot today, but really all I did was clean some more crap out of my room. Henceforth, why I found the DVD player that doesn't work. I'm not sure, Holly. I know that Rachel will watch the video tomorrow. She's like you in the sense of if she happens to miss a stream or something, she always watches it the next day. Um, she worked today, and she obviously works tomorrow, and then she works on Wednesday. So on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, we usually don't see Rachel because of the fact that um, she goes to bed at 10 o'clock. So when I start the stream is when Rachel generally goes to bed. So that's why I don't have her. I'm assuming Michael is probably I think Michael also watches the videos after they get posted. I'm not sure on that either. Sometimes he used to comment on them and stuff, but now he doesn't do that anymore either. So I don't really truly know if he's still watching them or not. But he says that he's been working a lot too. So I'm assuming that's why he's not here. I have no idea where Martin is. He's here when he wants to be, I guess. And obviously I didn't kill him, so I can't use the excuse that I killed Martin anymore. And um actually, do you know what I just thought about? So the 16th of this month, so May 16th, is the weekend that I'm supposed to go down south with Mike and Rachel. Possibly a fourth candidate, but we're unsure if the fourth party is going or not, being as they've never gone with us. I have no idea who this girl is. And she seems like that type that's a little flaky, like the type that would say, like, yeah, I'll go, and then won't go. So we're still a little unsure whether or not this other person's going to go. But regardless, if they do or don't go, it will be me, Mike, and Rachel down south for the entire weekend, which is awesome because we always have a blast when we're down south, and we will obviously be recording videos. Rachel's already talked about wanting to take her camera. We're gonna take the dirt bike and the three-wheeler that we have that sooner or later will get posted to YouTube because Mike's been recording videos for me to put on YouTube about the four-wheeler the three-wheeler and the dirt bike. But with my editor software causing me problems, I have yet to get those uploaded, but they will eventually come. Hopefully, I can get them up before the 16th because that'd be nice. There's two four-wheelers down there and a go-kart. So we'll definitely be doing some riding and probably record some of that. We'll do other little stuff, adventurous stuff, like, just fun stuff. It's just fun to have a giant place where, you have 200 acres of land where you can literally do whatever the fuck you want and nobody can tell you yes or no about what to do. Definitely be some drinking, so I'm sure some drunk video will come out or something like that. But I was literally just thinking they have Wi-Fi down there, and so I was like, if I recorded a video on my phone or something, or like a vlog on my phone, I could just upload it to YouTube while I was down south. And then I was just clicked in my head, and I was like, wait a minute, I should take my laptop, because if I take my laptop down south and hook it up to the Wi-Fi, I could totally record a stream from down south because I would technically stream Friday night and or Saturday, being as we'll drive down Friday. I'm assuming that, I probably wouldn't live stream that Friday night just because by the time it takes 2.5 hours to get there. So by the time we get down there, it's definitely going to be like probably 10 o'clock. But instead of being like a 10 o'clock at night thing like now, it's going to be a 10 o'clock at night thing where I'm going to be dead fucking tired from sitting in the car for 2.5 hours. So I probably wouldn't live stream Friday, but I could totally live stream Saturday night from down south, and Mike and Rachel could also both be in the stream then, which would be super dope. We could even do like a drinking stream where we're drinking and live streaming while the three of us are live streaming together. Mike's probably going to be the most awkward at it. I'm not saying Rachel won't be, but me and Rachel can just converse. We're both talkers. We can just both talk and have it seem normal. Whereas Mike's more of a shy and quiet guy. So he definitely would be down to do it, but he's just probably going to talk less than me and Rachel would. But I think that would definitely be an interesting and or plausible idea. I'm starting to assume, Holly, that you and I probably aren't going to be getting our stimulus checks, like, period. I have no obviously assurance whether or not that's true, but being as the government has pretty much given everybody else their money, not really everybody, but a large majority of people have already received their money, and we both have yet to see anything. I just have that feeling that we're not going to get our stimulus money from the government, which really sucks. I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, it's better to go from this point on. It's better to just assume we're not going to get it, and then maybe one day we look out and we get it, than it is to keep thinking we're going to get it and never get it. Because yeah, it's just fortunately this weekend I'm supposed to go with Mike, and do some landscaping out at a guy's house. Actually, it's like his uncle's house, I think, but and he's going to pay us quite a lot of yard work that needs done, like planting a lot of plants and weeding and putting a walkway in and all kinds of stuff. So fortunately, this weekend I should make a little bit of extra money that I don't have now. So A, that will help with my cigarette money, but B, that should help um, just all the way around with expenses since I'm not making any money. Um, but yeah, it's just, so like I said, it's I'm sitting here, constantly getting all mad and upset that everybody else has got their money, and then that you and I both are sitting here like, we're both we're both in need of the money and we're both not getting it. So it's making me just assume that we're probably not going to get it, being as it's been this long and we both haven't got the money. Like I said, it's probably just better that we both understand that we aren't going to get it, and then some miraculous miracle works out and we do get it, then it works out for us. um yeah, I totally agree, Holly. We definitely deserve it. It's more like one of those things where you can't really judge anybody else in their situation, but obviously I definitely say that you and I are both people who actually really could use that money, whereas there are other people out there that are still working or are still getting money from unemployment and stuff like that, which we aren't. So um so it does seem a bit bullshit to think that the people who are getting money elsewhere are the ones getting it, but the people who actually need the money are the people that aren't receiving it. But I guess that's what we get since we didn't file taxes. I guess that's the government's way of being like, well, you didn't file taxes, so you don't deserve money, I guess. So kind of shitting on our parades for no reason. I don't like shitty parades. I like nice parades, which actually also sucks. There's a parade in my town. Um, if you look up blue tip matches, I mean, they're a pretty common thing in the sense of a lot of households have blue tip matches, which it's a match that has a blue tip to it, henceforth blue tip matches. But they are actually made in my town. Well, they used to be. Um, Wadsworth, Ohio, Blue Tip Match Factory. If you look it up, that they made all the matches for like World War I, World War II. They were in business until like the 1980s, and then they shut down. It was like the biggest company in our entire town, and like I said, since I made them for the war of World War I and World War II, they were obviously like huge things that brought huge amounts of money to my town. Um, and uh, every single year we hold the Blue Tip Match Festival, which is a parade. It's a massive parade that goes through the entire town. It goes from one end of the town to the other end of the town, and then afterwards there's a week-long carnival that happens down at our football stadium that has all kinds of rides, which I don't ride the rides because fuck that. I ain't jumping on no stupid Carneys ride that gets inspected like once a year and travels from place to place. Like, I'm not trusting that. It's one thing to trust an amusement park ride, but it's another thing to trust a ride that gets boxed up and put on a trailer and then gets unboxed and put together, and you're supposed to trust that it ain't gonna just throw you off at some point. Like, no, I'm good. But what I mainly liked it for is they had two massive rows of food trucks, and so we're talking like carnival foods and all that stuff. So I always went and got deep fried Oreos and get funnel cakes and get some fucking pizza or some corn dogs. God, I love carnival food. I hate carnival rides, but I love the fucking food. I literally would go the entire week. I would pretty much spend the entire week going and buying just carnival food to eat all week because I love fucking carnival food. But because of Rona got shut down and they're not holding it this year, so it's the first year in like fucking 50 years that we aren't having it, and it's really sad because it was actually one thing that this town does that I actually really enjoyed to do. And I mean, there are a lot of people saddened by it, but obviously with Rona, you can't have mass gatherings, and being as it was a massive carnival, I mean, it's big, like it's really big. My city when I was born was really small, and just in the 29 years that I've lived here, I could look it up real quick. It's huge. Like, I know that I don't, if you live in Cincinnati, obviously you're in a much larger city than I am in. So the amount of people that would be in Cincinnati are much large. But being as my town was like farmer town for a long time, we've got way more people to the point where my high school that I went to was really small, and the high school that they tore down my high school 2 years after I graduated and built a brand new one. And it's so long that it literally is a quarter mile from one side to the other. That's how big my high school is. Graduating class of my class was 350 kids, which at the time when I graduated was the largest graduating class, and every year has gotten bigger and bigger to the point where the last year that graduated, they had like 560 some kids that graduated, which is fucking ridiculous. I'm just trying to see what the population number of my town is. So in 2000, so it's going off the census, obviously, and a lot of people, yeah, see, Holly, that's how it was for me. Where I live, I have a school now that's in my backyard, but before that, it was all woods. I had all woods. I had cornfields all around me, and literally, like I said, in the last 29 years, my town has blown up from this tiny rural farmer town to this massive city. Um, and from our census, from the Wadsworth census of 2015, we had 23,781 people in it. Oh, wait, no, that's from 2018. Yeah. So from 2018, we had 23,781 people in it, which is huge. Like, literally, when I was born, this actually, now that I realize it, the census would have told me, but the amount of people that lived in my town when I was born was nothing compared to let me, there you go, bring that back up here. 1990. Okay, so I was born in 1990. In 1990, when the year I was born, we were only a population of 13,000. And by 2018, we're up to 23,000. So we've gone up by 10,000 people in 25 years, which is quite a big jump. And it's a noticeable jump. So, I mean, obviously there are much bigger cities and towns out there. I understand that, but yeah, being as like you're saying, you only have 17,000 people in your entire town. Just imagine adding another fucking, what, 6,000, 6,500 more people to your town, and imagine how much growth that is. Because you got to think, that means you got to build more houses, you got to build more schools, you got to build more stores, you got to build bigger streets. I mean, it went from um yeah, Holly, I've been to Kings Island probably like 50 times in my life. Kings Island has Top Gun. Top Gun. I hate roller coasters. I'll just make this clear right now. I absolutely hate roller coasters. But the Top Gun roller coaster they have is the only roller coaster I really enjoy from the entire place because instead of it just dropping off, it does like a banking drop, and so I did. So I do know that. And my dad rode the Son of the Beast, which is I know is shut down, like destroyed. They don't have it anymore. Which was the wooden roller coaster that had the loop. Um, yeah, it's been probably 4 or 5 years since I've been to Kings Island now, but um, oh, that's dope as shit. So you live pretty close to Kings Island, then that's cool. Yeah, I really like Kings Island. My family and I, we always take a vacation in the summer. Obviously, won't be this year. And actually, this year, my parents were planning on going to Florida and going to Disney World, and I wasn't going because I didn't have the money to afford to go to Disney World. Because unfortunately, when you get older, it's not like your parents pay for your vacation. You have to pay to go. And like I said, I don't have money, let alone money to go spend on live or going to Florida for an entire week to go to Disney World again, even though the last time I was at Disney World, I was 5. But my entire life, we've always gone on a vacation, and unlike every 5 years or so, we generally go to, um, I'd say probably less than 5 years, probably every 3 years or so, we end up going to Kings Island for vacation and stuff because quite a lot of stuff you can do down around that area. Um, but yeah, um, I know a lot of that area around you because I mean if you're not that far from Cincinnati, then you obviously been probably some stuff about Cincinnati. And I know Cincinnati's got the People Person Bridge, is what they call it, where it's like a car bridge that they shut down and now it's just a walking bridge and you can walk from one side of it to the other side. When you start in it, you're in Cincinnati, and when you end up in it, you're in Kentucky. Um, and yeah, it's just a lot of cool stuff down around that area. Definitely want to go back. I actually, not even joking, probably like a month or two ago, I just mentioned to my mom and dad that we need to make a trip to, um, uh, but I told them that we need to go down and go to Kings Island. Are you saying that Robbie wants to go to Tennessee this weekend? Um, but it's actually quite funny that that works out that way because my sister obviously was from Wadsworth, Ohio. She graduated college and moved to Tennessee and was teaching at a military academy in Tennessee. And she met her husband in Tennessee, which he was born and raised in Tennessee. And once they got married, then he got a job in Ohio, and she moved back to Ohio. So now my brother-in-law is a original Tennessee man himself too. So it's quite funny to think that you Ohio girls like to go for those Tennessee guys. I'm starting to think I should go to Tennessee and find me a girl. Or I should just move out of state somewhere else because it seems like no Ohio girl likes me or wants me as a boyfriend. But that sure does seem like anytime I go out of state, I always have girls that are like, "You're so hot." And I'm just like, why does that work that way? How does it seem like nobody in Ohio is interested in me? But the moment I go to another state, somebody else is like, "Oh my God, you're like the coolest ever." And I'm just like, what? How's this work? Like, how does this work? I think it's literally just because you're new, you're something new, instead of having the common everyday, oh, I'm from Tennessee and all I have is Tennessee people and I'm not interested in them. And then somebody from Ohio shows up and you're like, whoa, something new and different. It's just the exciting of it. Oh, that sucks. I didn't know they got a new roller coaster, but that really sucks that they got a coaster, the brand new coaster, and they can't even open. I don't know for a fact, but have you heard of Cedar Point? Cedar Point's still an hour and 5 minutes north of me where I'm at, but we go to Cedar Point literally every single year. I hate roller coasters. I don't like riding roller coasters. I'm terrified of heights, so you pretty much ruined me right there. But there are quite a lot of things I will ride because it's not to say that every roller coaster goes really high in the air. They have a roller coaster at um, Cedar Point that's called the Corkscrew, and literally it only goes up 100 feet, but then it drops you down a hill, and then you do a loop. It does one loop, and then it does 2 corkscrews, and it's over. It's literally the smallest roller coaster you could ever ride in your life. 100 feet's still pretty high. Don't get me wrong. I still panic at 100 feet. But compared to the Top Fuel Dragster that goes 460 feet in the air, it's like I'll deal with 100, but that's my limit. Like that, I can't go on anything bigger than that. I usually ride the little kid roller coasters, not like the little kid, not like the ones that literally are just like a couple humps and you're done. But they also have another one at Cedar Point called the Iron Dragon, and it's meant for children. Um, and it also has no drop. It literally takes you up a hill that's only 70 feet tall, and at the top of it, it spirals all the way down, and then you just kind of do these like zigzaggies and stuff, and it's I love it. My mom's very my mom is a very good person to explain my roller coaster non thrills, but I will get on the Iron Dragon and ride it 400 times in a row because, like I said, I can't stand big hills. And then there's also one that's called the Mining Ride, and it only takes you 50 feet up in the air, and it's also the same way where it just drops you and you spin in a bunch of circles on your way down. So it's like you don't get that horrible feeling in your stomach that's like that drop feeling that it like sucks you in and you can't breathe. Um, but yeah, and then I'm into spinny rides. I'm into the ones that make you throw up. I don't throw up, but I'm like I ride the rides. I used to love the swings. The swings were my all-time favorite thing. Nowadays, you couldn't even pay me to get onto the swings because it comes down to two things. A, the swings go pretty high, and that kind of scares me. And secondly, the only thing holding you on are 4 chains connected to this thing that spins, and at any time they could break and it would just fling you across the park and you just splatter on the ground and hit the ground. So like my fear of heights also comes down to I have horrible anxiety and I think about things that don't happen, but I think of what can happen, and that's what prevents me from having fun. So if I get on it, instead of being like, wow, look at me, I'm flying in a circle, this is fun, I'm sitting there going, what if that chain breaks? What if I fly off of here? What if I fall off? It's just my brain starts panicking about all the things that could happen, and that prevents me from either A, doing it, or B, enjoying it if I do it. So I'm into like bumper cars and the ride that spins you in a circle while you're on the ground and stuff like that. Because even if that breaks, yeah, I'm sure you're still gonna get fucked up. It's gonna hurt, but at least I'm on the ground. I'm stationary on the ground. Makes me feel safer on the ground than it does like off in the thing. And yeah. So I'm just not a Yeah, and literally, I haven't ridden the swings probably in like 6 or 7 years, but I used to. It used to be my all-time favorite thing to do, to ride on. If I could go somewhere and ride on swings, I was all about it. But nowadays, I'm just like, nah, nah. Couldn't even pay me to get on swings nowadays. I'm like, no, no, I'm good. I'm good. I just watch everybody else, and the entire time they're swinging above me, I'm just like, even watching somebody fall off of a swing while on the ground would fucking scar me, let alone wanting to be that person that gets flown off the swing. Both my sister and my dad are complete opposites. My mom's like me. She's terrified of everything, so she doesn't. Plus, she gets motion sickness, so she doesn't ride anything. So most of the day, my mom and I just people watch, which is fine. We both love people watching anyways. But my dad and my sister are both adrenaline junkies, so they ride every roller coaster in the park. They ride every fast, scary thing you could ever imagine. Um, I've ridden a lot of big roller coasters in my day. I rode the Top Fuel Dragster because I promised my friends the next time we came back to the amusement park together that I would ride it with them because I thought that I'd never go back to the amusement park with my friends. And then one day I went back with them and didn't remember I had said that until we got there. My friends reminded me I said that, and I really hated myself because then I totally had to ride it with them. And I did it, and my friends realized how terrified I was afterwards, and then they told me that they would never make me ride another roller coaster again because they all felt horrible for how bad it made me feel. And and then they have a roller coaster they came out with probably in like 2014 that was called the Maverick, and it goes 95 miles per hour, and it has like 12 loops and a bunch of corkscrews and stuff. And I'll totally admit, I cried the entire time I was on it. My sister was right next to me, and she felt horrible. And when we got off, my sister told me she would never make me ride another roller coaster again because, like I said, I panic. My anxiety kicks up, and I don't like heights. And then on top of that, you add 95 miles per hour on top of loops. Your brain can't even register what's going on. You're just flipping and flying around. I cried the entire time. And there's one part in the ride too, the Maverick, it comes to a complete stop and then it sits for like 5 seconds and then it launches you again. And that's when my sister realized I was crying because she thought I was laughing. And then when we stopped, she looked over and realized I just had tears all down my face. And I was like, I don't want to go. And she was like, Matt, I'm sorry, but we're going to go again. And I was like, what? And then and off we went. And it was horrible. Yeah, the ship's all right, but see the other problem I have is like I hate the stomach drop feeling. I hate that feeling of like when you crest a hill and you drop and your body like has that it feels like your stomach gets sucked up into your fucking throat and you can't breathe. And the ship gives me that same feeling. I'll ride the ship, but it I have to sit in the middle. I have to sit toward the middle. I can't sit on the ends because when you sit on the ends, you really get that horrible stomach drop, and I hate that feeling with a passion. I think that's what makes me cry. I don't even think it's my body being like, oh my God, I'm so high up here. I think it's that feeling forces my anxiety to cry because it scares me, like it's a feeling I don't like. So once that feeling comes, my body instantly is like cry because it's like you don't like this. And then I'm an adult crying on a ride, and it makes you feel like a big baby, especially when you've got kids on it that are all like, yeah, this is fun, and you're an adult crying, which has happened before many times for me. But it's also like this. It's worth the experience. I'll try everything once. Sometimes there are exceptions in life. Like I used to feel that way about drugs in high school. I'll try everything once, but there are exceptions. There are things I won't touch. Um, Took a lot of pills, smoked a lot of weed. I did cocaine a couple times. I did hallucinogenics, meaning acid and shrooms. I dabbled. I dabbled my fingers in quite a lot of stuff, but I never do heroin. I'd never do meth. I'd never do. I would never do crack cocaine, or wait, not crack cocaine. Like smoking a crack pipe kind of thing. Like I said, there are things that I'm like, look, that's too much for me. But like I said, in my world, I kind of technically go on like this whole, I'll try it at least once. And that's how I was with roller coaster and most rides. I'll go, I'll try it. And then I hate it and I refuse to ever go on it again. And that's generally how it goes. And then I never go on it. But at least that way, if somebody ever asks me, hey, do you want to go on this? And I'm like, no, I've done it. I'm like, no, I'm good. And then they're like, have you ever done it? And I'm like, yes, I have. And no, I'm good because I don't want to do it. So at least gives me that out of like, well, I've done it. So you can't yell at me for not doing it. Like I've done it. I've tried it. I just don't like it. So I don't do it. And it's funny too because even though as an adult I've cried while riding roller coasters, this has happened my entire life. Like I have memories of being a kid and riding roller coasters and crying because of it. So it's like it started as a child and it still happens as an adult. I'm just not meant for roller coasters. they're too fast and they go too high, and my anxiety kicks up really bad, and then just I lose my shit. Now, like I said, I do have anxiety medication, and unfortunately, you do have to take it for a little while before it really starts to like your body builds up, and you can actually like feel the results of it. But if I went and took like a Xanax or something, which is obviously a much more powerful anxiety medication, I guarantee I'd probably ride most of that shit and have no problem with it because it just dulls you to the point where you have no problem. Yes, and exactly, Holly. Like I said, I'm with my mom. We're doing people watching. We go to gift shops. We eat the foods. I do the rides that spin you around in circles and stuff like that because I like that kind of stuff. My mom just watches me and walks around with me while my sister and dad run around and do all the crazy fast rides. And then the other thing that's really funny, I really need to end the stream because I've gone way past the time. But the other thing that's funny is if you ever like you're walking around in an amusement park and you're tired and you want to sit down, they just have benches. They just have like a bench and you just find a bench and you're down. But the funny thing about it is because like I'm a smoker, so obviously I'll go to smoking sections. If you go to the smoking section, they've got these really badass chairs that are super comfortable, and they're all like they have umbrellas over each chair, and they're the chairs where you can like lean back a bit, and you can sit there, and they got armrests, and you can have a cup holder. You smoke your cigarette, and so obviously it sucks. Like if you're not a smoker, that you have to be around a bunch of people who smoke, but as I've proven to my mom, it's actually way better to go sit in the smoking section to sit and take a break than it is just to go find a stupid bench somewhere. Because apparently, if you're a smoker, they want to make you relax and really enjoy your smoking area. But if you're tired anywhere else in the park, well, good luck. You get to sit on a shitty wooden bench. So that's that. So now that's a lot. Every time I go smoke a cigarette, my mom comes and sits in the smoking section with me. She hates smoking. She hates the smoke. She can't stand it, but she will totally admit the chairs are so much nicer in the smoking section than they are in the regular park. So that's at least the cool thing about being a smoker. I get to sit in fancy chairs all day. That and now that I'm older, it feels less weird, but I always loved it when I was like 19 years old and I go into the smoking section. You have all these adults that are in their like 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they're all sitting there smoking their cigarettes like, we're going to go ride those roller coasters. And they're smoking a cigarette, and you're just like this 19-year-old kid sitting there like, yeah, I smoke. I'm in the smoking section. But like I said, nowadays I'm getting old enough where it doesn't feel so awkwardly strange like I'm some young kid by himself in the smoking section, but that's one of the amazing things of growing up. One day you realize that everything's so weird when you're young, and then you grow up and you realize, oh wait, I'm just as old as all the people I thought was weird watching them stand here and smoke. Like I'm being a 19-year-old, be like, oh look at those 30-year-old people. It's so weird. They're so much older than me. And then now I'm almost 30. I'm like, I'm that age. Like I'm that age to the point where now 19-year-old kids probably look at me and go, look at that 30-year-old kid over there. He's fucking weird. And I'm just like, I am. I am weird and I'm 30. I'm not 30 yet, but I'm getting there. Yeah, smoking sections are for the cool kids, okay? That's how it works. You're only cool if you smoke cigarettes. Duh. Have you ever been pressured in high school? What, are you not cool? You can't smoke a cigarette? No, I never had that. Anytime anybody ever says that shit, I'm like, shut up. That is not how that works. Only reason I got peer pressured into smoking and shit was because I watched everybody around me do it and I was the only one who didn't do it. That was my peer pressure in high school. Is seeing all my friends smoke and I didn't smoke, and it was like, well, maybe I'll try it, and then boom, now I'm a smoker. But I never had somebody be like, oh, you're not cool if you don't smoke cigarettes. Oh, you can't hang out with us because you don't smoke cigarettes. It's like, dude, who the fuck? If you got friends that do that, then get rid of them because they aren't your friends. Like that's not how that shit works. It was all the feeling of, oh, well, I think these guys are cool and they do it, so I should do it too if I want to feel cool. That was my peer pressure in high school. So that's why I did it. And with weed, I hung out with all my friends who smoked weed for literally like 4 or 5 years before I ever hit it for the first time myself. And then the first night that I did it, I realized I was in love with it, and I've smoked. Well, no, see, I always fuck this up because I always end up saying something like, and I've smoked ever since. But it's like I don't smoke anymore. So it's like I smoked for like 15 years, but now I don't. So it's like I always make it seem like I'm still smoking, and I'm not. But I still, I was still young. I was probably like 16 or 17 by the time I smoked pot for the first time. But like I said, all my friends that I hung out with in high school were all way older than me, like years older than me. When I was a freshman, I was hanging out with seniors. So obviously, I was hanging out with people who were much aged different, and they were all potheads and they smoked all the time. And they would offer, "Hey man, you want to smoke?" I'd be like, "No, I'm good." And then that was it. They would let it go because even at that point, I was still a good kid, didn't smoke cigarettes or anything. And then I don't even know what changed one day. I think just one day I was just like, fuck it, we'll try it. Why not? And then I did it and I felt fantastic. And I was like, this is amazing. And I did it ever since because I was just like, no harm, no foul. I enjoyed it. And I thought it was going to be some shitty thing. And I was going to be all fucked up and didn't know what my life was going on and stuff like that. And then I smoked it, just made me happy and giggly and then really hungry. And then I fell asleep. So I was like, it seems like the best drug in the world. I do it. I just feel super happy and laugh at everything. Then I'm like hungry enough where I can eat an entire fucking meal and still be hungry. And then I just fall on the floor and fall asleep for like 10 hours straight and wake up and I'm like, wow, let's do that again. And obviously, as time goes on, those things wear off. You still get hungry, but I never got sleepy, especially with having insomnia start really kicking up real bad. I'd smoke a bunch and stay up all night. But um, yeah, I know. Isn't it crazy? It almost blows your mind of like how that changes because your stomach doesn't change just because you smoke. It's just your appetite changes. So it's like you cannot be high and eat like a couple slices of pizza and be like, I'm full. But you can smoke and then eat the entire pizza. And you're like, how did that change? Like, how did it go from me only eating a couple pieces and being full to me smoking and all of a sudden eating an entire pizza and being like, wow, I'm still hungry. Like, I loved it. I loved how that changed my life in that way. Like I could eat nonstop and people being as skinny as I am and being like a lot of my bones show in my chest and stuff like that, people all the time would be like, oh, you must be anorexic. You never eat. And I'm like, dude, you'd fucking shit your pants if you knew how much I eat. We'd go to McDonald's. We'd all get super stoned when I was in high school. We'd all get super stoned, drive to McDonald's. I'd buy 3 Big Macs, a large fry, and a milkshake and eat all of that and still be hungry. Like, I loved it. I loved it. Being even super skinny is even better because then at least you're not like getting fat with all you're doing. It's like you're still burning off all the shit you're eating, and it was great. It's great. Definitely makes it understandable why they use it for medical purposes, like when you have to take um, chemo and stuff like that. It obviously can help with pain. Excuse me, pain. It will help with nausea. It will help you get hungry, even if you're not hungry. So it makes complete sense why they use it medically for things. Just needs to be done recreationally, so that way I can't get in trouble for doing it just to have fun. All right, well, I'm ending the stream because it's been 2 hours and 24 minutes, and obviously it's 24 minutes longer than any other stream I've done so far. I'm not gonna swear to it, but I'm just thinking that I may want to start streaming at 9 instead of 10. Maybe do like 9 to 11 instead of 10 to 11 for 2 reasons. One, like I said, with like Rachel and a lot of other people I know, they go to bed around 10. and so they can't show up. So if I at least started at 9, they could show up for an hour before they would go to bed, so they could at least show up for a little bit and then get off, kind of thing, when they need to. And or then it also helps with attracting new people in that also go to bed early. They might be able more inclined to watch a stream at 9 o'clock than they would be at 10. And the other reason being is when I live stream from 10 to 12 and then 12 o'clock comes and I end my stream, I'm so wired from sitting here and yapping this whole time that my body takes like another 2 or 3 hours just to wind down to the point where I can go to bed. So I'm up till like 2 or 3 every night, which insomnia doesn't help anyways. But like I said, once you kind of get into talking and being all like, ah, and being wide awake so you can live stream for 2 hours every night, it takes me a while to wind down to the point where I can even just lay in bed, even if I lay in bed for a long time. Last night, I'm surprised I'm not dead tired right now. Last night, I went to bed at 4 in the morning. I woke up and the sun was out. It had to have been like maybe like 7 or 8. It wasn't super bright, but it was bright enough where the sun had come up. And then I was awake until 11, and then I passed out at 11 and then woke back up at 12 and then got up. So realistically, I only slept for like 4 hours total last night, but somehow I'm wired and awake as if I'm always this wired and awake. So I mean, like, that's insomnia. That's how insomnia works. You can sleep very little and still feel like you're completely wide awake. But I'm just surprised at this point I'm not like yawning and like wanting to pass out. Oh, Holly, don't look. Here's how Facebook goes. I really don't get on Facebook very much. So if you've sent me a friend request, I haven't gotten a notification because I've turned off notifications on my phone because I'm sick and tired of getting stupid notifications from Facebook. Like it says, your mom commented on your aunt's post. And I'm like, I don't give a shit because I hate what my aunt posts, let alone that my mom commented on it. So I turned off my notifications. So it hasn't told me. And secondly, like I said, I rarely get on Facebook, so I'll get on tonight and I'll accept it. But there ain't nothing on Facebook that you're going to find that's going to be like, oh, Holly's going to find out personal information. Like, I don't care. It's just Facebook. It's just Facebook. If you haven't, and I will, Holly, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you haven't seen this, you need to watch it. I'm being so serious with you. Look up If Google Was a Guy into YouTube. Just type in If Google Was a Guy. If you've never seen, there's like 6 videos, okay? And it's made by the people called College Humor. They are hilarious, okay? And it's literally just pretending if the Google search engine was a person. Like if you wanted to look something up, you had to physically go to a guy and ask him questions, and then he would give you answers, as in the same you would do for Google. Oh my God, it's so funny because there's this one, I think it's like the 4th or the 5th video in. They're only like 10 minutes a piece, but there's one where this girl keeps showing up, and every time she shows up, she asks for Facebook. She goes, Facebook. She says it. She's got the most annoying voice in the world because I've already said this before. I hate women who are ditzy. You could tell from, I mean, she's an actor, but you could still tell from her voice in these videos that she's a very ditzy character. She's like, Facebook, and she does it to him. Every time she does it to him, he gets so mad because it's like one of those things where if you're in the URL, you could just type in Facebook and go straight to Facebook. You wouldn't need to go to YouTube or go to Google to then look up Facebook. And so finally at the end of it, she goes, Facebook, and he goes, it's right there. Like, it's just, it's the best. If you watch them and you don't laugh, I will be blown away. And on top of that, the black guy who's in it, you'll know who it is because I think he's the only black guy in it. I mean, there's one black guy who asks about sweaty hands because he thinks he has cancer, but there's this black guy, and I can't remember his actual name, but he is a comedian. He's been in a lot of movies, and he asks some of the best questions that you'll have, like one of those things where like as you're typing in search engines and you get these weird questions pop up and you're like, who the fuck looked that up? Like he asked those kind of questions to the Google guy, and so the Google guy's always like, like confused. And there's a guy who's like, can you drink expired milk? And the guy's like, no. And he goes, what to do if drank expired milk? And he's like, I already told you it was bad. Oh, it's so good. Anyways, yeah, College Humor is the people who make it. If Google Was a Guy is the name of the series. Like I said, there's like 6 videos. They're only like 10 minutes long. They're amazing. I guarantee you will laugh your fucking ass off to them. I would highly suggest anybody, I'm telling Holly to watch them, but anybody who's now watching at 2 hours and 30 minutes long, anybody out there who wants to have a really good laugh at any time of the day, I highly suggest looking it up. This is really bothering me. I got one really long string and one really short string. But anyways, I'm going to go. So if you like the video, a like would be much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, I would consider subscribing to keep up with cool, awesome content like this 2.5-hour live stream we just did tonight. If you're already part of the channel, you should share the video with your social media accounts and show other people how awesome it is to sit here and chit chat with me all night. So that way, maybe next time we can have more people, and or we might actually get closer to our 500 goal, because it seems like at this rate we're never going to get there. Or at least by the time we do get there, I'll be another 6 years from now. And we're only 28 subscribers from 500. 28. Holly, I know you know 28 people out there. Just make them subscribe. Tell them to do it. Tell them that you'll hate them forever if they don't. Tell them you want to see a really awesome 500 subscriber video from me. And the only way it will happen is that 28 more people subscribe, and we're not going to get there if they don't do it. Grr. Anyways, my name is Matt Freeman. I like to talk a lot, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night, Holly, and good night to everybody else out there. Realistically, it's only Holly and the Creeper who watches me all the time. So good night to both of you, except for you, Creeper. You're weird. Bye.